Bitcoin on a parabolic journey since its source code launched in 2009. Everyone, you, me, waiting for the next parabolic gains. Let's face it, we all want that bull market high. When will it get here? But more importantly, what will that look like? What's up, everyone? Jumping right into the charts, going back to our roots, zoomed out. The charts that I love to watch. We've been doing a lot of like 4-hour charting, seeing when Bitcoin's going to make its next move lately. But I want to kind of go back to the foundation of why I started this channel. Looking at the zoomed out charts and anticipating the big moves for Bitcoin. We've succeeded in successfully anticipating, when I started this channel, kind of that bottom of the bear market. And since then, we've done a lot of videos talking about the Bitcoin entering its next cycle. This is the parabolic charts, the logarithmic charts on Bitcoin I did back in the bottom of the bear market, end of 2018. And you can see Bitcoin on track in terms of historical data, right? We have the Bitcoin halving, we have Bitcoin entering into bull markets, parabolic gains, which is what we're talking about in this video. And then we have Bitcoin retracing into a bear market and kind of this correction phase. And then we restart over the cycle leading into the halving, right? And then again, bull market high, bear market retracement. And here we are, we're approaching the first step of the Bitcoin cycle, which is the 2020 Bitcoin halving. We're approaching it, right? So we're completely on track, especially if you even look at where Bitcoin is in terms of this parabolic trend line on the screen to previous Bitcoin halvings. We're kind of towards the bottom and we're getting ready for a new type of trend line, which is why I'm doing this video. We look at this, this rainbow logarithmic trend line that everybody charts. Everybody seems to chart it differently, but I think the idea is the same. Bitcoin has just been putting in parabolic higher highs and higher lows since the beginning of Bitcoin. But I want to look at a new trend line, and it's called a power trend line. Before I go and look at these charts, and this is just a glimpse of what it's going to look like, I want to just paint context to where we are right now. Zoomed in on the weekly, we are right on pace. We're in this symmetrical triangle of sorts entering into this halving. We know the last cycle we had a very similar setup, symmetrical triangle with a breakout 76% to the apex of that triangle. We are approaching the 76% to the apex right around end of July of the current triangle. We survived a pandemic, a global pandemic. Bitcoin has survived. If that isn't kind of a proof and an example that Bitcoin is here to stay, I don't know what else could be, because Bitcoin has survived this global chaos, this pandemic, and it's really just been performing just as well and in the same category as traditional markets, as gold. And you would think something like Bitcoin would have just failed, right? According to a lot of people that don't believe in Bitcoin, but that didn't happen. So we are on pace entering this Bitcoin halving. There's going to be a lot of volatility in the next couple months along the way. We talk about this retracement in the short term down into the 5,000s, even into the 4,000s potentially for another low before we move up. But in general, we're on pace. Now let's get to it. I want to talk about a power trend line, and it's very simple. I'm not going to dig too much into this, but we can go into Bitcoin on the zoomed out charts, right? We have these parabolic gains, but when we start zooming in, we have certain things happening, and we have a power trend line happening a couple other times. We're waiting, you and I and the rest of the markets, for a third time in terms of parabolic gains, higher highs and higher lows on kind of a shorter term time frame, as opposed to the longer time frame, which is where we kind of get that rainbow effect, right? Shorter time frame, meaning one part of the Bitcoin cycle, we're getting these power trend lines. Now, a power trend line is very simple to think of, a reflection of the acceleration of a certain data point, right? And this data point is Bitcoin entering a bull market out of the bear market. And you can think about that data, if you ever seen kind of a data illustration of a race car or a car accelerating, RPMs going crazy, and then you have this data chart and it's parabolic, it's off the charts. That is what the bull market will look like. Now, What's really cool about this, and this is really why I wanted to do this video, and it really ties everything together, is the fact that you can see, obviously 2010 or so, back here, 2011, let me just zoom out a little, make sure you can see this. 2011, Bitcoin, this parabolic gain was just ridiculous. We're talking about $3 to like over 1,000, and you can see the trajectory. And then we kind of leveled out again with still awesome gains, $145 to 20,000. And then you can see each time this power trend line levels out, it gets a little flatter, right? So I can't exactly draw the one that we're anticipating. It could look so many different ways, but I think in general, we can assume that it's going to level out even more. And I love the confluence of that leveling out. Obviously, the speculative one takes us into 2022, and this is like $300,000. I don't think we're going to hit $300,000, but we can, again, draw this trend line in so many different ways, and it can top out quicker. It could top out at $100,000, up here, and then we can cruise back through it, right? My point isn't to pinpoint the exact price where it's going to top out and the exact trajectory, but I want to show the confluence between these power trend lines and the leveling out of the higher highs in this long-term logarithmic parabolic trend line that we have, that we've been tracking, that so many people are tracking, right? And we know speculatively we have Bitcoin right around $100,000 at this upper trend line in this long-term chart with a higher high. And you can just see 3,600% gains from this high to this high, right? And then we have 1,600% gains from this high to this high. And now we're speculatively saying 345% gains from the last bull market to this next high. And you can see the upper trend line, these higher highs leveling off as well. And I love the illustration. I love the reflection of the fact that even these power trend lines and potentially this next Bitcoin bull run also leveling out. And this power trend line, I think, gives a good illustration historically what has happened in this phase of Bitcoin cycles. We always look at the zoomed out charts. We kind of get a really big glimpse of Bitcoin going all the way back to the beginning of the charts. But we never really zoom in on just that one phase of the cycle that we're looking for, which is just a series of parabolic higher highs and higher lows for Bitcoin to enter that next Bitcoin bull market high. And that's what it looks like on the screen. Now, we can speculate all day what the price will be. We generally say around $100,000 or so for that next bull market high. And listen, there's no guarantees for Bitcoin to get there, but speculatively, and this is why Bitcoin is one of just my favorite investments, speculatively, the risk reward is there because Bitcoin, with its diminishing supply, with the Bitcoin halving coming up, with everything going on, money being printed like crazy, right? The economic state of this entire world, Bitcoin has so much potential and the continuation of this long-term trend. So what will this next parabolic phase look like? It will definitely be, hopefully, I should say, an illustration of a really nice looking power trend line. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the next all-time high will be? Where will this power trend line kind of fizzle out and Bitcoin retraces? I would love to know your thoughts. Wanted to cover that in this video. I appreciate you coming by. If you're here and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you coming by. Hit the like button on the way out. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.